This is the story of a group who wanted to make a project concerning a wireless lock for a bicycle. To document this process, they also had to hand in a project report. The first step in this process was to make a project description. The group wondered why they had to make a project description. They found out that this was necessary in order for the supervisor to find out if they were focusing on solving a relevant problem. The problem description consisted of 7 points: background, purpose, problem formulation, delimitation, choice of model and method, time schedule, and sources, references, and literature. In the background description, the group described how the problem that motivated the development of the wireless lock had arisen. George, one of the group members, described it like this: "Me and my friends always had difficulties finding our bicycle keys, especially in stressful situations. We made further inquiries around and found out that we were not the only one. The mobile phone we could always find, so why not use it to unlock the bicycle?" While elaborating the background description, the group discussed the purpose of the project. Why did they want to make a wireless lock? They discussed back and forth, couldn't agree. George said, "But we already talked about it. It's to avoid these stressful situations where you cannot find your keys." But how can we formulate that in a nice manner, they asked themselves. They ended up with the following purpose for the project: to avoid time waste and stress in connection with finding bicycle keys, and thereby making everyday life easier for cyclists. While developing the purpose and the background, the group tried to elaborate the problem formulation. Once again, they couldn't agree, but they knew that they had to find a central question which could be answered through the report and finally in the project conclusion. But how could they formulate this overall question? After the discussion, they came up with the first draft. How can we develop and market a wireless lock? At the same time, the group discussed the delimitation of the project. What relevant subjects would they not include in the project and the report? The group knew that economic issues and legal issues were important in relation to this project, and covering relevant bicycle markets like Holland and China and Germany could also be interesting. But they felt they could not include these subjects because of the limited project time. To give the supervisor a clear picture of what kind of models and methods they wanted to use when developing and marketing the wireless lock, they used the following model to describe their choices. Based on the problem in the problem formulation, the group, for example, described a partial problem like this. In this case, they focused on how can we market a wireless lock in Denmark. And by asking why and which and how and who and when, they could specify that they wanted to answer this question by making a market analysis based on a survey among Danes. And on a scale from 1 to 4, where 4 is the most difficult, they decided they would study this problem on a level 3. And finally, they agreed on that Peter should be in charge of this and have the result ready at the 29th of October. Correspondingly, the group had to make their time schedule for the project. They started from behind. First, they plotted in the day they had to turn in their project, and then they discussed and tried to estimate the different deadlines and tasks they should complete during the project. They ended up with the following time schedule. In the project description, they had to come up with a draft of a list of sources and literature. To find information of how to market and develop the wireless lock, the group, for example, decided to use the following sources and literature: different kind of theory books concerning marketing and software development, interviews with cyclists, internet site concerning wireless communication, and so forth. Different sources and literature were then compiled in a list so the supervisor could see what their intentions were. The supervisor told them to use Harvard Anglia as a standard when referring to sources and literature. Finally, they had their project description ready. All 7 points had been treated: background, purpose, problem formulation, delimitation, choice of model and method, time schedule, sources, references, and literature. They handed it in to the supervisor, and he pointed out some issues that were important to include. But armed with fresh inspiration, they improved their project description and handed it in again. Now it was accepted by the supervisor, and the group could finally get to work on developing and marketing their wireless lock.